Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast IELTS vocabulary listening practice topic name is 30 IELTS vocabulary essential words, list 01. We are jumping right into what we call the deep end, because if you are preparing for a challenge that tests the limits of your expression, like the IELTS, you don't just need to recognize words, you need to master them. You need to know their behavior, the nuance, and, well, their precise application in any context.
That's really the core mission of this deep dive. We're taking 30 critical words, all derived from high-level academic material, and unpacking them thoroughly. The foundation is robust.
Right.
We have definitions, powerful synonyms, and multiple contextual examples for each. But our job really is to go beyond the study guide.
Right.
We need to internalize the subtle differences between those synonyms and understand exactly why one word works better than another, whether you are crafting an argument in an essay or speaking with confidence.
Absolutely. This is about acquiring expressive power. When you can fluently deploy a word like indisputable or correctly identify behavior as arrogant versus merely confident, your communication gains weight and precision. We aren't just memorizing, we are integrating these concepts skillfully. Let's start immediately by examining words used to judge character, moral standing, and extreme emotional states. Okay, so we begin with a strong, quite formal description of moral status, blameless. At its heart, it means not deserving of guilt, innocent of wrongdoing. The synonyms are key here. Innocent, guiltless, irreproachable, faultless. They kind of hint at a spectrum of application.
Yeah, and what's immediately important, I think, is distinguishing between the legal and the moral use. You might encounter blameless in a formal, maybe judicial context.
Okay.
Where a court, after reviewing the evidence, declares a defendant blameless. This means, legal responsibility for the action is cleared.
Got it. Legally off the hook.
Exactly. But then there's the use of a word like irreproachable. To say someone leads a blameless or irreproachable life goes much deeper. It suggests a kind of moral perfection, or maybe not perfection, but a person whose character is so strong and honest that no fault could be genuinely attributed to them, even under scrutiny.
Okay. That distinction, legal clearing versus moral purity, is powerful. And there's a third context, maybe slightly more analytical, that is crucial for test situations, where fault might be assigned to external circumstances rather than the individual.
Right, like in an accident.
Exactly. Say a traffic accident occurs. The driver is declared blameless because the true cause was, a mechanical failure or poorly maintained road conditions. The focus shifts entirely away from the person's actions to external causative factors.
Yeah. So blameless can excuse a person based on their character, or based on legal evidence, or even just based on circumstantial factors. It's a word of clearance, and you must know what is being cleared: the crime, the character, or the circumstances.
That makes sense. Okay, now let's transition from innocence to the very edges of rationality by pairing words 2 and 4, crazy and madness.
Right, these two. They often get used interchangeably in casual chat, don't they?
They do, but they carry distinct formal weight. Crazy refers generally to mental derangement, irrationality, or simply extreme foolishness. Synonyms like insane, mad, lunatic, deranged sound heavy, but the contexts in which we use crazy are surprisingly broad.
They really are. We often use crazy to describe profound foolishness that endangers oneself or others.
Right.
Like making a crazy decision to drive through a raging storm. That's just not smart.
Definitely not.
But the language quickly shifts. The source material highlights the dual potential of the term. A crazy idea like abandoning a stable job to travel the world might seem irrational at first.
Totally crazy to some people.
Right. But if it leads to great success and fulfillment, it gets recontextualized, doesn't it? It becomes unconventional brilliance.
Yeah, or just a really bold move that paid off. And then there's the intense emotional energy side. A sports crowd going crazy when their team scores. They aren't irrational in the sense of mental illness.
No, not at all.
It's a description of collective frenzy, excitement, and maybe a temporary loss of measured control. Crazy captures this high-energy, unpredictable state really well.
And that contrasts nicely with madness. It shares synonyms, sure, but it tends to imply a weightier, more profound state of folly or perhaps intense suffering.
Heavier, you mean?
Yeah, heavier. When we use madness in formal writing, it often describes destruction on a grand scale. The source references the madness of conflict, the sheer irrational destructiveness of war that leaves entire generations wounded. This isn't just a foolish decision, it's systemic, tragic folly.
Wow, okay. That's a big difference. And this leads back to that brilliant thematic point the source raises about creativity. We talk about the artist whose madness fuels their most creative works.
Right, and this is where the term becomes incredibly complex. It's not describing clinical insanity here, necessarily. It's more about an intense, often maybe painful state of mind that operates outside conventional bounds. It implies a kind of obsessive focus and unconventional thinking that, while perhaps unsettling, drives true innovation.
So it's a key distinction to make in philosophical or artistic discussions.
It really is. It raises an important question for you as a writer or speaker.
Yeah.
Are you describing clinical mental derangement, or are you describing a productive, intense nonconformity? The choice between insane, which sounds more clinical, and madness, which can be more literary or descriptive of folly, shapes the entire narrative.
Got it. Okay, let's turn now to a word of positive recognition. Noted. This means well-known or famous, but critically, it's famous for a quality or specific achievement. Synonyms like renowned, celebrated, and eminent all share this quality of having earned respect.
Exactly. The emphasis is on attribution. If a scientist is noted, it's because their reputation precedes them due to specific expertise. They are a noted authority delivering a lecture on something complex, like climate modeling.
So it's not just famous, it's famous for something specific.
Precisely. If an author is noted, they have maybe won multiple major literary awards. The recognition is tied directly to verifiable success.
And it's not just people, places carry this weight too, right? The source mentions a city noted for its historic architecture. This means the city's fame is intrinsically linked to that specific feature, the architecture, not just that it's generally busy or populous. Noted attributes high respect to a specific thing or achievement.
Well put. Now let's look at the negative side of character. Arrogant. Defined as possessing an exaggerated sense of self-importance or ability. Synonyms like haughty, conceited, and overbearing paint a pretty clear picture.
Yeah, not a flattering one. When you encounter this word, you need to analyze the real-world consequences, which the source material effectively lays out. Firstly, the personal cost. An arrogant attitude quickly alienates colleagues, right? Leads to professional isolation.
Absolutely. And secondly, there's the consequence for decision-making.
Ah, right.
The example of the arrogant king ignoring the advice of his seasoned advisors is powerful because it shows that arrogance isn't just an unpleasant trait. It's a failure of judgment rooted in self-importance.
Because they think they know better.
Exactly. The arrogant person genuinely dismisses expertise because they believe their own, often less informed view is superior. This kind of hubris is costly in any leadership scenario.
And practically, it can cost you opportunities. Showing up arrogant in a job interview, that sense of entitlement or superior behavior, is usually enough to disqualify a candidate, regardless of their skills.
Definitely. It's a costly social error. That's why understanding the difference between confidence and arrogance is vital. Confidence is rooted in competence and hopefully respect for others. Arrogance is rooted in vanity and often dismissal of others.
Okay, that's clear. Now we come to a critical pairing for expressive vocabulary. Awful and dreadful. Both mean extremely bad or unpleasant. Awful offers synonyms like terrible, dreadful, horrible, appalling.
Yeah, awful is pretty versatile. It can describe general unpleasantness. The awful weather ruined our plans. Simple enough. It can describe physical discomfort, feeling awful after eating spoiled food. We've all been there.
Unfortunately, yes.
And it covers tragedy, an awful tragedy for the community. So it's broad, conveying severity across a range of experiences, from just bad to genuinely tragic.
Right. But dreadful, you're saying, often carries a slightly different, maybe sharper edge, leaning toward causing intense fear or suffering. Synonyms like horrific and atrocious push the meaning further into the psychological realm.
I think so, yes. Dreadful often describes things that evoke a sense of fear or profound shock. A dreadful storm isn't just bad weather, it's a terrifying event causing widespread severe damage.
Okay.
It's also used for intensely negative personal experiences, like a dreadful experience at the dentist that was painful, highly stressful. Not just unpleasant, but stressful, maybe even traumatizing.
Yeah, I can picture that.
And importantly, news that is described as dreadful is not just sad, but deeply shocking and unsettling.
Yeah.
Dreadful tends to affect you more deeply, perhaps, than awful.
So to summarize, awful is more about general unpleasantness or severity, while dreadful often introduces a component of fear, horror, or shocking intensity.
That's a good way to put it. Finally, in this segment, we discuss the formal action. To disclaim. This is a decisive denial of responsibility or connection. The synonyms repudiate, disavow, renounce indicate a powerful, often legalistic separation.
Okay, so this verb is far stronger and more formal than simply to deny. If I deny something, I might just be lying, right?
Could be.
But if I disclaim something, it suggests a formal, often public or recorded, act of rejection.
Precisely. The formal register is key. A corporation might have to disclaim any involvement in a financial scandal, formally separating its liability.
Right.
It's also used when formally giving up a right, such as disclaiming an inheritance. You renounce your legal claim to it. Or, in academic or political contexts, an author might disclaim controversial views that have been attributed to them, ensuring their public record is clear on the matter. It's the ultimate statement of severance, really.
All right, let's shift focus now to words that help us describe change, measure precision, and set the scene. Starting with to vary, meaning to change or differ in size, amount, or degree. The synonyms differ, fluctuate, diversify, alter, capture, motion, and change.
Yeah, the analysis here should probably differentiate between passive and active change. Sometimes things vary passively due to external factors. Prices for produce will naturally vary depending on the season and consumer demand. That's fluctuation.
Just happens, basically.
Right. Other times it's an active choice, a strategic diversification. The restaurant intentionally changes its offerings so the menu varies daily to maximize novelty and interest. That's a deliberate alteration.
Makes sense.
And then there's variation of perspective. Opinions on complex topics like public policy will vary widely among experts, meaning they differ significantly. Recognizing this verb's function is essential in analytical writing when you need to note inconsistency or diversity.
Okay, so intentional change needs clarity, which leads us directly to accurate. This means correct in all details, verifiable, and without error. Correct, precise, exact, truthful, these are words of certainty.
Yes, accurate is kind of the gold standard in academic and scientific language. In factual reporting, an accurate account of events must be reliable and verifiable. We often talk about accurate data or an accurate prediction.
Right, you need it to be trustworthy.
Exactly. The application also extends to physical skill. An archer aims for an accurate shot, hitting the target every time. And in technical fields, the source stresses that measurements must be accurate before proceeding with complex tasks like engineering or chemistry. This underscores that a lack of accuracy can lead to, well, structural failure or experimental disaster. Big problem. It's probably worth noting the collocation. When discussing measurements, precise is often used interchangeably, but accurate generally refers to whether the measurement hits the true value.
Right.
Whereas precise refers to the closeness of repeated measurements to each other. Both are vital, but accurate focuses on veracity, on truthfulness.
Okay, that's a useful distinction. Next, we have a very specific, maybe culturally loaded noun, sacristy. This is a room in a church, but specifically where the sacred vessels and vestments are kept. Synonyms are vestry or robing room.
Yeah, this word requires specific knowledge, which is probably why it's powerful in high-level comprehension tests. The examples clarify its main functions. It's a preparation space. The priest prepares for religious service there.
Okay.
It's a storage space for vessels and ceremonial garments.
And it suggests exclusivity, right? The source highlights that visitors are often not allowed into the sacristy during ceremonies. It's a functional, behind-the-scenes space central to the religious operation, yet kept separate from the public area.
Exactly. It's not for everyone. Now, we covered dreadful earlier, emphasizing its association with intense fear and suffering. Let's focus now on its conceptual neighbor, immoderate. This word describes excess, exceeding reasonable limits. We are talking about excessive, intemperate, unrestrained, extravagant.
Immoderate sounds like almost always a warning sign. It signifies a lack of temperance or control that leads to negative outcomes across financial, physical, or social realms.
That's generally true. Think about the financial strain. Immoderate spending quickly leads to financial trouble because it's unrestrained. It crosses the boundary of what is sensible or sustainable.
Right, too much.
Physically, a workout routine can be beneficial, but immoderate exercise, pushing far beyond safe limits, causes injury. Again, too much. And socially, it describes disruption. Immoderate noise from a late-night party is excessive and disturbs the neighbors. In basically every scenario, immoderate flags an action or behavior that is unacceptable because it lacks the necessary restraint or moderation.
Got it. Switching gears completely, let's bask in the warmth of cozy. This word is defined by sensory experience, giving a feeling of comfort, warmth, and relaxation. The synonyms snug, Warm and inviting emphasize atmosphere and feeling.
Yeah, this is a nice one. When you write using cozy, you are describing ambiance. Picture a cozy cabin, perfect for a winter retreat, complete with a roaring fire and soft lighting. The word conveys physical comfort and emotional security.
It feels good just hearing it.
Doesn't it? And it's not just physical spaces, though. It describes the overall atmosphere. A restaurant with a cozy ambiance makes diners feel instantly at home and relaxed. It suggests an intimate scale, a welcoming environment, and a general sense of being snug and well cared for.
Lovely. Okay, moving back to the mundane but necessary, we look at the garbage can, a simple container for waste. While structurally simple, the examples demonstrate its indispensable role in describing daily life with accuracy.
Right, you need these common words too.
Sure.
See routine use. Please throw the wrapper in the garbage can. Simple instruction.
Yep.
We see limitation. The garbage can overflow after the massive party, forcing us to consider capacity, a common problem.
Too common sometimes.
And the unexpected drama. Rummaging through the garbage can in a frantic search for lost car keys. Even simple nouns are essential for grounding detailed description in reality.
True enough.
Yeah.
Our final word in this segment, perception, requires some deeper analysis, I think. It means the ability to notice, understand, or gain insight. Synonyms include insight, awareness, discernment, and cognition.
Yeah, this word has massive scope. We need to dissect the two main applications described in the source. First, individual, accurate understanding. When we say her perception of the political situation was spot on, we mean her personal analysis showed acute insight and discernment. She got it right.
Okay, so personal insight.
Right. The second application is collective view, how a group sees something. Public perception of the company shifted dramatically after the environmental scandal. This isn't about one individual's understanding, but the collective opinion.
Ah, like public opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which can often be swayed by external factors like media or emotional reaction, and importantly, may not always be truly accurate.
Right. This is where the word is powerful. It speaks the reality of things versus the understanding of things, which might be different.
And then there's the purely sensory use. Depth perception is crucial for safety, especially driving. It's the physiological ability to judge distance and dimension accurately, linking perception directly to physical safety and skill.
So it really spans from deep analysis to basic sensory function, a very broad word.
Indeed.
Okay, we dive now into abstract ideas. Certainty, legal promises, time, and intellectual capacity. Starting with warranty, a purely commercial term. A written guarantee promising repair or replacement. It's a promise of assurance.
Right. In commerce, the warranty is pretty much synonymous with consumer protection. The typical use is tied to duration. The device comes with a 1-year warranty against defects, standard stuff.
Yep.
The source highlights the necessary process. You must claim the warranty when the device malfunctions. You have to activate it, essentially.
And crucially, the advice is always to read the warranty terms before purchase. These terms often contain caveats, details about what voids the warranty, or specific procedures that must be followed to ensure the promise of repair or replacement holds true.
Absolutely. It's a legal document governing future reliability. Read the fine print.
Always good advice. Okay, from legal assurance, we move to the constraint of time with immediate, meaning happening or done without delay, instant. The synonyms prompt, instantaneous, urgent, all emphasize speed.
Immediate stresses the lack of lag time across, I'd say, 3 types of events. First, the active response, where quick action is required. The medical team provided immediate care to the injured person, no waiting.
Critical in emergencies.
Totally. Second, the emotional response, which is instantaneous. Her immediate reaction upon hearing the news was visible surprise, just happened, boom.
Right.
And third, problem resolution. When a critical infrastructure failure occurs, there is an immediate need for a solution, demanding urgent, rapid action to prevent further consequence. So the word covers speed in care, emotion, and necessity.
Got it. Speed is key. Now, the central processing unit for all these actions is the mind, the faculty of consciousness and thought, the intellect. Synonyms like brain, reason, and wit define its function.
Yeah, we use mind both literally and figuratively. Literally describing cognitive capacity.
Yeah.
You need a sharp mind to solve complex puzzles.
Makes sense.
Figuratively describing attitude. We're advised to keep an open mind when learning new things, advocating for intellectual flexibility and receptiveness.
Good advice again.
And we also use it to describe the suddenness of a thought. An idea crossed my mind during the presentation. This captures the fluid, spontaneous nature of internal consciousness, showing the word's flexibility in English expression.
Okay. When the mind fails to communicate clearly, though, we encounter vague. This means not clearly expressed or understood. Indistinct. Synonyms. Ambiguous, hazy, indistinct.
Right. And the consequences of vague communication can be profound. Instructions that are too vague cannot be followed properly, leading to errors. Very. Memories can be vague, meaning the recollection is hazy or unclear. You sort of remember it, but not really.
Yeah.
But the most important application, I think, is intentional vagueness. In business or law, a contract's terms might be deliberately vague to create loopholes, or maybe shield a party from specific liabilities later on.
Ah, sneaky.
It can be. This intentional ambiguity is a calculated lack of transparency and a critical concept to grasp in high-level reading comprehension. You need to spot it.
Good point. So if communication is not vague, hopefully it's understandable. This means able to be comprehended or sympathized with. Synonyms like intelligible, reasonable, excusable are provided.
Yeah, and note the vital split here between cognitive and emotional understanding. Cognitive, the complex explanation was clear and fully understandable. You got the logic.
Okay.
Emotional. His frustration was entirely understandable given the excessive delays and poor service he received. Here, we are justifying or empathizing with the person's reaction. We get why he feels that way.
Right, it makes sense emotionally. It also works to justify a decision, doesn't it? It's understandable why she chose to leave the company under those stressful conditions.
Exactly. Meaning her reasons were reasonable and excusable. The word grants both clarity and justification.
Okay. Now, we push past understandable to the realm of absolute fact with indisputable. This is something unable to be challenged or denied, certain. The synonyms incontrovertible, unquestionable, irrefutable signify the ultimate level of proof.
Yeah, this is a strong one. If you use indisputable, you are stating a fact that defies all reasonable challenge. In a legal context, the evidence was so overwhelming that the facts were indisputable, leading to a quick verdict, case closed. It's also used for general, established knowledge. It is indisputable that regular exercise benefits physical and mental health. This is pretty much scientific consensus.
Right, a given.
And in describing talent, her incredible ability is indisputable after winning every major award in the field. It confirms an established, accepted, and certain fact. No argument.
Okay. From certainty, let's explore the antithesis of comfort. Terror. Extreme fear or dread, fright, horror, panic are the core emotions captured.
Yeah, terror is a powerful, primal word. The source details how it can be induced. A horror movie designed specifically to evoke terror.
Right, jump scares and suspense.
Exactly. It also describes the physical manifestation. Freezing in terror when encountering a dangerous situation, like the sight of a snake. This is that paralyzing physical response to dread.
Fight or flight or freeze.
Right. And most tragically, it can be a lingering psychological state. The terror from the major earthquake lingered for weeks after the traumatic event, showcasing the long-term psychological impact of extreme fear beyond the immediate event.
That's heavy.
It is. To conclude this segment, we discuss highbrow. This describes something scholarly or intellectual in nature. Cultured. Synonyms like erudite and sophisticated imply refined taste and advanced knowledge.
Right. Highbrow is often associated with cultural domains requiring specialized knowledge or appreciation, classical music, serious literature, or specialized theater. It describes content catered to a knowledgeable audience, a journal appealing only to a highbrow readership.
And it may be worth asking if the term highbrow can feel inherently, arrogant, tying back to our earlier discussion.
Good question.
While it describes sophisticated taste, the source shows its implication of exclusivity. The event was deemed too highbrow for casual attendees, suggesting a level of sophistication that can actively deter or exclude those seeking simple entertainment.
So it's a descriptive term, but one often loaded with social implication. Might put people off.
It certainly can.
All right, for our final group, we tackle tangible shapes, geography, strategic timing, social condition, and communication errors. Let's start with the simple shape, the cube, a six-sided square solid. Pretty basic.
Basic but foundational for spatial description. The examples show its application in gaming, rolling the cube, or die, to determine movement. We see it in physical reality, an ice cube melting quickly in a warm beverage. Common sight. And in precision tasks, such as cooking, cutting vegetables into small uniform cubes, simple words are often the workhorses of practical descriptive language. You need them.
True. Next is remoted, meaning situated far away or isolated. The synonyms secluded, distant, far-flung emphasize separation. And you mentioned we should note the use of remoted here implies having been made distant or separated.
Yeah, that seems to be the nuance in the source material.
Yeah.
It describes geographical isolation strongly. A village is remoted from the main city by treacherous mountain passes. The remoted island attracts only the most adventurous tourists, emphasizing its inaccessibility.
Okay, physically cut off.
Right. But isolation isn't just physical. The source also applies it emotionally, feeling remoted from family after moving abroad. The word captures a sense of separation, whether due to physical distance or emotional barriers. The feeling of being far-flung suggests an enormous, often uncomfortable distance.
Got it. Strategy is defined by our next word. Well-timed, happening at an opportune or advantageous moment. Timely, opportune, and apt are the necessary synonyms.
Yes, this term really highlights successful strategy where the timing itself secures the positive outcome. A well-timed intervention from a mediator prevented a dispute from escalating into a disaster. The timing was critical to the successful resolution.
Perfect moment.
Exactly. It also applies to morale and social finesse. A company announcement about bonuses was well-timed to boost employee morale just before a challenging project launch. Smart move. And personally, a well-timed joke can quickly lighten a tense or difficult social mood. The success is dependent entirely on the moment of delivery. Timing is everything, as they say.
Indeed. Moving to finance, we address gratuity. This is a tip given for good service. Synonyms include tip, bonus, reward.
Right. This word clarifies payment customs. We use it when describing the act of appreciation, leaving a generous gratuity for the waiter after excellent service.
Standard practice in many places.
It is. And it's critical when clarifying payment rules. Many restaurants must specify if the gratuity is or is not already included in the bill total. You need to know.
Definitely.
The tour guide appreciates the group's gratuity, confirming it is a voluntary, non-contractual payment for service rendered. It's extra.
Okay. Next, we address systemic challenges with disadvantaged. Lacking basic resources or conditions for success, deprived, underprivileged, and needy are strong synonyms.
Yes, this word is central to socioeconomic discussion. Assistance programs are specifically designed to help disadvantaged children gain opportunities in education, aiming to address inequities in access.
Right, leveling the playing field.
Hopefully. It describes the environment itself.
Yeah.
Growing up in a disadvantaged neighborhood often means lacking adequate community services or infrastructure. And critically, it addresses systemic barriers. Disadvantaged groups often face profound barriers to employment due to lack of resources, networking, or education, highlighting systemic inequality. It's a complex issue.
It certainly is. From deficiency, we leap to excess with abundant, meaning existing or available in large quantities, plentiful. Ample, copious, profuse are excellent substitutes.
Yeah, the contexts here show richness. A region might be rich in natural resources, containing abundant reserves of minerals.
Okay.
Environmental conditions can be positive. Abundant rainfall leads directly to a bountiful harvest, signifying prosperity. Good news.
Definitely.
And it describes populations. Wildlife is abundant in the national park, meaning the population is numerous and thriving. It's worth noting the difference between synonyms. Ample often suggests enough and maybe a bit more, while copious or profuse strongly emphasize a huge quantity, almost overflowing.
Good distinction. Our final word, to misconceive, brings us full circle to communication and judgment. It means to misunderstand or form a wrong idea about something. Synonyms: misinterpret, misjudge.
Yes, this is an essential term for diagnosing large-scale communication errors. The source notes that many people misconceive the true complexity of a political or scientific issue, meaning they form an oversimplified or fundamentally wrong idea about it.
Which happens a lot.
It does, and it applies personally too. He misconceived her intentions behind the proposal, leading to confusion and unnecessary conflict. This underscores how misinterpreting motivation can derail collaboration.
Yeah, assuming the worst.
Or just getting it wrong. The word serves as a direct warning too. Don't misconceive my words as criticism. It demands accurate interpretation and ensures the listener avoids forming a wrong judgment about the speaker's true meaning. It's a powerful conclusion on the importance of clarity. #TED outro.
So we've completed our deep dive covering 30 essential words that range from, well, legal formality and complex character judgment to the precise description of environments and abstract concepts of certainty. By dissecting the synonyms and focusing on context, you now hopefully have the tools not just to recognize these words, but to really own their nuances.
This integration is the core value for you, the learner. Applying these highly specific words, replacing really true with indisputable, perhaps, or choosing copious over just a lot, significantly enhances the clarity and intellectual weight of your ideas. This is what strengthens both your reading comprehension and your expressive ability in high-stakes settings like the IELTS.
Right. So consider this. The difference between a good score and a great score often comes down to this kind of precise vocabulary choice. By mastering the nuance between, say, vague and ambiguous, or between awful and dreadful, how much more powerful does your next academic argument become? That is the true power we've unlocked today. If you found this deep dive helpful in preparing for your language goals, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.